Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I'm going to be flying out to Taiwan today. But something interesting happened when I was negotiating this time off. So I only have one remote class I'm going to be teaching from Taiwan. I look forward to it because it's an early morning class here in Phoenix, and it will be early evening over in Taiwan. I want to look for a good vantage point to sit down to do the class, and I've been wanting to do that forever. Now, there was one other assignment I could have taken, but you know what? It was very sparse, and our dean wasn't even sure if the class was going to run. I'm not going to let my life go on hold again for an uncertainty. In the past, I used to do that a little bit too much, and lately there's been a lot of discussion about our minimum wage, right? At the federal level, and here in Arizona, it's $14 and some change. It was just increased recently, and there's a lot of discussion about that. But what's not being discussed is why are we even paid by the hour in the first place? To understand this concept, let me give an example of where being paid by the hour kind of penalized me. I was working at a tutoring center, so picture about I want to say 6 instructors, and altogether probably 100, students. They didn't all show up every day, but 100 to 150 regular students and 6 instructors. And at a given hour, we might have had 10, 15 students in that room at once. So picture that. Now, in 2023, Taylor Swift was performing in Glendale, I think. The tutoring center was in Scottsdale, 10, 15 miles east of that. And a lot of my students were excited about that, and they took the day. Most of them only come once or twice a week, and they just took the day off. So we had a really sparse schedule. And a lot of my colleagues took off. Now, I don't think my colleagues necessarily took off to go see Taylor Swift. They're not the right generation, but they took off because there weren't a whole lot of students. They took off to go see their grandmothers in other parts of the country, right? They took off to just take it easy, right? They took off to maybe work on home improvement or something like that, right? But I went there because I just moved to Phoenix, and those things don't really interest me all that much. I didn't really think much of it. It wasn't until the end of the week I got my direct deposit. It was for a 2-digit number and I'm thinking to myself, gee, what happened? And it didn't even hit me that I didn't get all that many hours, because you got to understand, Phoenix is very spread out, right? Urban sprawl. You got to drive 20, 25 miles to get to work in the first place. Even if you get a 2-hour shift, that's still almost as big a commitment as getting a 6-hour shift. It really is. A lot of people don't really seem to appreciate that. And then I thought to myself, gee, I might not like Taylor Swift, but I might like something else, right? So, for example, I might take time off to go see a solar eclipse, and those things are not nearly as popular. So that might be a busy week at the center. And just because my tastes are different, I get paid less. I feel like that wasn't fair. I really do, and it really highlights, why do we get paid by the hour? After all, the students who want to come in on a week when Taylor Swift is performing, somebody has to work that, right? Just because that's in line with somebody's taste, why do we penalize them? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It really doesn't. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I Good luck trying to ask my boss at that tutoring center why it works that way, right? But I'm going to ask you guys, please leave a comment if you have any thoughts on why it should. I made a big mistake that time, though. The week before Taylor Swift, I had just set up my direct deposit. So I was getting paper checks before that, but I had just set up direct deposit. And so the $85, $89 deposit hit. and I was really upset. Had I not set it up and it had been in a paper check, I would have went up to my boss's desk, talked to him about it, and then burned the check in front of him. I really would have. That's how I felt about it. Too bad I set up that was too bad. Um, but I feel penalized for being different in many ways, right? Not just that, but at the at my current job, which I don't have too much of a grievance with, but recently something happened that made me realize that I'm at a huge disadvantage. What had happened is that I have one colleague who is also single, but most of my colleagues are married or at least in committed relationships. Our school had suffered some budget issues. And when we went to discuss it, you could tell that the situation weighed a lot heavier on myself and that one colleague because we didn't have a second income to fall back on. And so that's what prompted me to return to the dating scene. And unfortunately, I returned to the dating scene and I ran into other barriers there, right? My work performance has really suffered as a result of that. So it's really a no-win situation. Now, some people just by their accident or just find the right one when they're 5 years old and never have to think about that again. Why? It doesn't seem fair, right? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be complaining about that because after all, there are things that I found when I was 5 years old that some people my age don't have, right? So who knows? But I think we need to have a substrate that allows integration of people from different backgrounds, right? Right now, our substrate really penalizes people for having differences in relationship status, differences in their recreation, right? So somebody who likes stargazing compared to Taylor Swift is penalized just for that, right? And so all right. So I know I've been complaining a lot. I still can't get over that whole Taylor Swift saga. I still can't get over that. I think I should have still been paid whatever amount. The next time it happens, I might, like, for example, let's say in a month, I know Taylor Swift is coming and my colleagues are going to be away. I might just ask, hey, this, I'm giving up my week to be here, but it's only 6 hours. What are we going to do about that? And see what the boss says, right? I should have done that, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.